The morning that transformed my life forever began like any other in Portland, Oregon. The sky was blanketed with thick gray clouds, and a gentle rain fell on the pavement, creating a hypnotic rhythm as I drove to work. At that moment, my thoughts were consumed with everyday concerns, approaching deadlines, unfinished projects piling up on my desk, and the countless responsibilities that seemed to multiply daily. I couldn't have imagined that within minutes, everything I considered important would vanish instantly, giving way to an experience that would completely transform my perspective on life, death, and the purpose of our existence. The road wound through the trees, and the raindrops gradually intensified. I remember adjusting the wipers as I approached a curve I had taken hundreds of times before. However, this time was different. Perhaps it was the combination of wet pavement and my hurry to arrive on time. Or maybe it was simply fate choosing its moment. The tires lost traction, and in a split second, I felt the vehicle's control slipping from my hands. Time seemed to slow down as my car spun out of control. The sounds merged into a terrifying cacophony. The screech of brakes, the crunch of twisting metal, and the deafening crash of breaking glass. My last conscious thought was a strange mixture of regret and surprise before everything plunged into darkness. Waking up in the hospital was gradual, like emerging from the depths of a dark ocean. Sounds came distorted. The rhythmic beeping of heart monitors, the distant murmur of medical staff conversations, and the constant hum of life support equipment. The pain was intense, especially in my head, but there was something else, a different sensation I couldn't explain. That's when everything started to change. The reality I knew began to dissolve, as if someone was blurring the edges of my consciousness. The hospital room began filling with a soft, warm light, unlike anything I had seen before. It wasn't threatening or blinding, but rather welcoming and comforting. At that moment, I experienced something that defies all logic and human understanding. I saw myself from outside my body. It was as if my consciousness had separated from my physical form, allowing me to observe the scene from a completely new perspective. I saw my motionless body on the hospital bed, surrounded by doctors and nurses working frantically. But their movements seemed distant and unimportant compared to the absolute peace that was beginning to overtake me. In the midst of this surreal experience, I heard a voice that spoke my name. Hannah. The voice was unlike anything I had ever heard before. Deep, warm, filled with a compassionate authority that resonated not just in my ears, but in every fiber of my being. "Come with me," the voice said, and without hesitation, I felt it was right. The figure that appeared before me emanated a light so pure that it should have been blinding, but it wasn't. In its presence, I felt a love so intense and complete that human words are inadequate to describe it. It was Jesus, and although I had never seen his face before, I recognized him instantly. His presence radiated a familiarity that transcended any artistic representation or description I had ever known. As he extended his hand toward me, the surroundings began to transform. The hospital room faded away, giving way to a landscape of indescribable beauty. Golden fields stretched as far as the eye could see, swayed by a breeze that seemed to carry music in its whisper. The sky was such a perfect and deep blue that it seemed to contain all the promises of the universe. "There's something you need to see," Jesus said, and his voice contained both love and determination. What followed was an experience that would forever change my understanding of life and its purposes. Scenes from my own existence began to appear before me, but not as simple memories. It was as if I could experience each moment again this time with completely new clarity and perspective. I saw moments I had forgotten or ignored, missed opportunities to show kindness, instances where pride had clouded my judgment, situations where I had chosen indifference over compassion. Each scene was imbued with a deep understanding that went beyond simple observation. I could feel the impact of my actions, not just on my own life but on the lives of those around me. I remembered the day I ignored a coworker who clearly needed emotional support, too busy with my own concerns to spare time. I saw the times I had judged others without trying to understand their circumstances, the occasions when I had allowed resentment to poison relationships that could have been healed with a simple act of forgiveness. True repentance, Jesus said with a voice that blended firmness and tenderness, is not just recognizing our mistakes, but allowing that recognition to transform our heart. His words resonated within me with an undeniable truth. It wasn't a condemning judgment, but an invitation to transformation. The visions continued, growing more intense. I experienced the pain I had caused others, not as a distant observer, but fully feeling the impact of my actions. I saw tears I had caused, hearts I had hurt, and trust one had betrayed. But in each scene, Jesus remained by my side, his presence offering not just comfort, but also the promise of redemption. Repentance is more than words, he explained as the scenes unfolded before us. It's a complete realignment of heart and mind with the truth of love. Each of his words carried the weight of eternity, but also the lightness of hope. He showed me that each error, each moment of selfishness or indifference, contained within itself the seed of potential transformation. One of the most impactful visions was of a particular moment in my life, a decision I had made driven by pride that had consequences extending far beyond what I had imagined. I saw how that single choice had created ripples that affected people I didn't even know, like a stone thrown into a pond generating ever-widening circles. However, Jesus also showed me moments of light. Small acts of kindness I had performed without realizing their importance, kind words that had touched hearts in ways I never knew, gestures of compassion that had planted seeds of hope in others. Even the smallest act of love has eternal resonance, he said, and I could see the truth of his words manifested in the lives I had positively touched. The experience took an unexpected turn when the scenery changed dramatically. The light surrounding us transformed, and before us unfolded an ancient and deeply moving vision. It was the story of Lucifer, the angel who had fallen because of pride. I saw his original beauty, the splendor of his creation, and how the seed of pride had grown until it became his downfall. Pride, Jesus explained, is the root of separation from love. I saw how Lucifer's decisions, fueled by pride and self-sufficiency, had led him to a self-imposed exile from divine love. The lesson was clear and powerful. Even the highest being could be lost if they allowed pride to take the place of love and humility. You have an opportunity that he rejected, Jesus said, his eyes filled with infinite compassion. Sincere repentance is the path back to light. His words penetrated deeply into my being, revealing truths I had always known but never fully understood. The scenes changed again, showing me moments when I had tried to reconcile with others, but had done so with reservations or conditions. I saw how my own pride had hindered true healing in my relationships. Forgiving others, Jesus said, placing his hand on my shoulder, begins with forgiving yourself. He showed me a particularly tense family gathering, where a simple word of understanding could have changed the course of several years of estrangement. I saw how pride and fear had sealed my lips, perpetuating cycles of pain that could have been broken with a moment of vulnerability and true love. As these truths were revealed, I felt a weight lift from my spirit. The love emanating from Jesus seemed to dissolve the layers of resistance and self-protection I had built over the years. It was as if each moment of understanding was a key that opened another door to inner freedom. It's time for you to return, he finally said. But take this truth with you. Sincere repentance is the gateway to a life of authentic love. His words resonated in my being with crystal clarity, and I knew nothing would ever be the same. The return to my body was gradual. The light began to fade, and the absolute peace I had experienced slowly mixed with the physical sensations of pain and discomfort. The hospital sounds became sharp again. The beeping of monitors, the voices of medical staff, the movement of people around my bed. When I opened my eyes in the ICU, tears were flowing freely down my cheeks. Jesus' words still resonated in my mind with perfect clarity, as if they had been engraved on my soul with divine fire. I saw the worried faces of my friends and family, but I saw them with a new perspective, through a lens of love and understanding that transcended my previous limitations. Physical recovery was a long and challenging process, but the inner transformation I had experienced gave me strength I didn't know I possessed. Each day of rehabilitation, each moment of pain, was imbued with a deeper purpose. It was no longer just about regaining my physical health, but about living the truth I had discovered in my near-death experience. I began to see each interaction, each encounter with others, as a sacred opportunity to share the love and understanding I had received. The people around me noticed the change in me, though at first they couldn't understand its origin. There was a new quality in my presence, an openness and compassion that hadn't existed before the accident. Over time, I began sharing my experience with my community. At first, I did so cautiously, aware that such a story might be met with skepticism. However, I was surprised to discover how many people deeply resonated with the message of love, forgiveness, and transformation I had brought back with me. Relationships that were previously strained or broken began to heal. I approached those I had hurt, not just with words of apology, but with genuine repentance born from a deep understanding of the impact of my actions. The vulnerability I had once feared became my greatest strength. Each act of kindness, each moment of genuine connection with others, reminded me of Jesus' loving presence. Although I could no longer see him physically, I felt his love guiding my actions and decisions. Repentance ceased to be an abstract concept or a heavy burden. It became a precious gift that allowed me to release the past and embrace a future full of possibilities for love and healing. The daily practice of examining my heart and correcting my path when I strayed brought a peace I had never known. I learned to recognize the subtle manifestations of pride in my life and to consciously choose the path of humility and love. Each decision, each interaction, became an opportunity to put into practice the lessons I had learned. My transformation began to have a domino effect in my community. Other people, inspired by the change they saw in me, began to reflect on their own lives and relationships. We began building a more compassionate and united community, where forgiveness and mutual understanding became fundamental values. The years that have passed since my near-death experience have been a continuous testimony to the transformative power of love and sincere repentance. Each day brings new opportunities to deepen the truths I discovered in those moments outside my body, to live with more authenticity and love. I have learned that the true purpose of my experience was not just for my personal benefit, but to share a message of hope and transformation with all who are willing to listen. The story of my encounter with Jesus and the lessons I learned about love, forgiveness, and repentance continue to resonate in the lives of those who hear it. Now I understand that each moment is an opportunity to choose love over fear, understanding over judgment, and connection over isolation. My near-death experience taught me that we don't have to wait for a dramatic moment to change. Transformation is available to everyone, at every moment, through the power of sincere repentance and unconditional love. As I continue my journey in this life, I carry with me the certainty that the love I experienced in Jesus' presence is the most powerful force in the universe. It's a love that transcends all human understanding, a love that has the power to heal the deepest wounds and transform the hardest hearts. Each day I wake up with renewed gratitude for this second chance, for the possibility to live consciously and share this message of hope with others. As I share my story in different communities and contexts, I find myself constantly amazed by how it resonates with people from all backgrounds and beliefs. I have seen tears of recognition in the eyes of strangers who somehow find in my experience an echo of their own struggles and longings. It's as if my story opens a window to a deeper reality that we all sense but often forget in the midst of our busy lives. The lessons I learned during my encounter with Jesus continue to unfold and deepen with each passing day. What initially seemed an extraordinary personal experience has become an inexhaustible wellspring of wisdom and understanding that benefits not just me, but everyone around me. I have learned that the true miracle wasn't surviving the accident, but the ongoing transformation that occurs when we live from a place of authentic love and sincere repentance. In my daily work, now as a spiritual counselor and mentor, I constantly see how the truths revealed to me find practical application in people's struggles and challenges. When someone comes to me with a heart wounded by resentment, I can share from my own experience how forgiveness is not just a decision, but a healing process that liberates both the forgiver and the forgiven. I have observed how broken families begin to heal when one member takes the first step toward reconciliation. Inspired by my story, I have seen how people find the courage to face their own fears and limitations when they understand that divine love is greater than any obstacle we may face. The support groups I have formed have become sacred spaces where people can openly share their struggles and find hope in the transformation that is possible through sincere repentance. In these circles of trust, I have witnessed countless breakthrough moments where people finally understand that they are not alone in their spiritual journey. The practice of unconditional love that I experienced in Jesus' presence has become my moral and spiritual compass. In every decision I make, in every interaction I have, I ask myself, am I acting from that place of pure and true love? This simple question has transformed how I relate to my family, my friends, my colleagues, and even strangers. I have learned that true love is not a passive feeling, but an active force that drives us to grow and face our fears and limitations. When I encounter difficult situations or challenging people, I remember the look of infinite understanding in Jesus' eyes, and that gives me the strength to respond from a place of love, rather than react from fear or judgment. The transformation I experienced has also profoundly affected my understanding of life's purpose. I no longer see challenges and difficulties as obstacles to avoid, but as opportunities to grow in love and wisdom. Each conflict becomes an invitation to practice forgiveness, each misunderstanding an opportunity to cultivate understanding, and each moment of pain a possibility to deepen compassion. My near-death experience taught me that the time we have on this earth is precious and limited, but it also showed me that each moment contains the seed of eternity when we live it from love. This paradox has transformed how I live each day, finding the sacred in the ordinary and the eternal in the temporal. People frequently ask me if I fear death after my experience. My answer is always the same. What I experienced freed me from the fear of death, but more importantly, it freed me to live fully. I now understand that true death is not the end of physical life, but living without love, without purpose, without awareness of our connection to the divine. The impact of my experience continues to expand in ever-widening circles. Through conferences, workshops, and spiritual retreats, I have been able to share the lessons I learned with thousands of people. Each time I share my story, I discover new aspects and meanings I hadn't noticed before, as if the experience were a diamond with infinite facets revealing new light with each turn. The central message I always emphasize is that we don't need to have a near-death experience to experience the transformation I lived through. The love I found in Jesus' presence is available to everyone, at every moment, if we are willing to open our hearts and allow sincere repentance to guide us toward a new way of being. The daily practice of gratitude has become a fundamental part of my life. Each morning upon waking, I dedicate time to give thanks for the second chance I received, and for the possibility to share this message of hope with others. This gratitude is not just a feeling, but a force that drives me to live each day with more consciousness and purpose. My relationship with time has changed dramatically since my experience. I no longer feel trapped in the constant rush that characterized my previous life. Instead, I have learned to live in what I call sacred time, where each moment is an opportunity to experience and share the divine love I found in my encounter with Jesus. Synchronicities and meaningful coincidences have become a regular part of my life since my near-death experience. It's as if the veil between the spiritual and material has become thinner, allowing me to see the divine connections that have always been present, but that I previously overlooked in my rush to accomplish things. The inner healing work that began during my experience continues to unfold in surprising and beautiful ways. Each day I discover new layers of understanding about myself, about others, and about the nature of divine love. It's an ongoing process of unfolding, like a flower continuing to open its petals to reveal more beauty and fragrance. The community that has formed around my testimony has become a beacon of hope and transformation. People from different countries and cultures have found in my story a bridge to their own healing and spiritual awakening. It is humbling and deeply moving to see how such a personal experience can have such a universal impact.